Massive stones were moved across impossible distances long before modern machines existed. These enigmatic monuments stand as silent challenges to our entire understanding of human history. This journey will reveal 29 ancient sites that defy explanation and force us to rewrite the story of our past. How did hunter-gatherers build a temple complex older than the pyramids? And why does a 2,000-year-old device resemble a complex computer? By the end, you will see the timeline of human advancement in a completely new light. What does it truly mean to be an advanced civilization? These massive constructions did not emerge from a vacuum. They mark the very dawn of human ambition, a moment in deep time when our ancestors first looked at a landscape and decided to reshape it forever. This was an era long before written history, before metal tools, and long before the wheel was a common technology. With little more than stone, bone, and wood, societies began projects of a scale that still defies belief. The traditional story tells us this was a slow, gradual process, a natural evolution from simple shelters to grand monuments as farming provided more stable food supplies. Yet when we look closely at these earliest sites, that tidy explanation begins to crack. How could a culture, supposedly taking its first steps toward civilization, possess such a profound understanding of the cosmos? Many of these ancient structures are not just piles of rock, they are precisely aligned with the movements of the sun, the moon, and the stars. This suggests their builders were not merely farmers who decided to build something big. They were keen astronomers and engineers whose knowledge appears to have materialized almost fully formed. This background is the essential canvas on which our entire mystery is painted, forcing us to question not just how they built these wonders, but what they truly knew about the world around them. The sheer age of Göbekli Tepe is what sends a tremor through the foundations of history. This site in modern-day Turkey was actively constructed over 11,000 years ago. That is 6,000 years older than Stonehenge, and a staggering 6 millennia before the first pyramids rose in Egypt. Before you even try to picture it, consider this: the last ice age had only just ended. The world our ancestors knew was transforming, and yet, in this remote landscape, they embarked on a project of breathtaking ambition. They were not farmers living in a settled village. They were hunter-gatherers, people we are told lived a nomadic life, following herds and gathering wild plants. According to everything we thought we knew, these societies simply did not have the time, the resources, or the social structure to build something so permanent and so complex. And yet they did. What they built is a series of vast circular enclosures defined by massive T-shaped limestone pillars. Each pillar is immense, weighing many tons, with the largest among them standing over 16 feet tall. But the scale is only part of the story. The surfaces of these monoliths are not blank. They are a canvas of prehistory, covered in finely carved reliefs of animals. Foxes, cranes, scorpions, and lions are rendered with a skill and artistry that feels utterly at odds with their unimaginable antiquity. These are not crude scratches. They are the work of master artisans, so we are left with a profound contradiction. How did a society without agriculture, without permanent towns, and without metal tools organize the labor to quarry, transport, and erect these colossal stones? How did they feed the workers, and how did they develop the sophisticated symbolic language etched into every surface? Göbekli Tepe shatters the long-held belief that agriculture was the necessary catalyst, the so-called Neolithic revolution that finally gave humans the surplus and stability to dream big. This site turns that idea on its head. It suggests that perhaps it was the desire to build, to create a sacred space for a shared spiritual life that first brought people together. This gathering may have been the very spark that eventually led to the domestication of plants and animals. The temple, it seems, may have come before the city. This single site forces a complete rethinking of our societal origins, proving that human ambition and capability in the deep past were far greater than we ever dared to suppose. Yet the mystery only deepens as we move forward in time to a monument so famous it has become synonymous with ancient genius itself. The Great Pyramid of Giza does not simply rest on the desert sands, it dominates the very idea of human achievement. Constructed around 4,500 years ago, its perfection is a silent reproach to our modern assumptions. This is not a rough heap of stone, it is a mountain of precision engineering. Its base is almost a perfect square, with sides aligned to the cardinal directions north, south, east, and west, with an error of less than 1/15 of a degree. How could an ancient culture achieve such flawless astronomical alignment without modern tools or even a magnetic compass? The mathematical sophistication is equally staggering. The ratio of the pyramid's perimeter to its height is remarkably close to 2 times pi, the fundamental constant of a circle. This implies a deep understanding of geometry that, according to standard history, should not have existed for thousands more years. Then comes the sheer physical audacity of its construction. It is composed of approximately 2,300,000 individual stone blocks, each weighing an average of 2.5 tons, with some of the interior granite slabs weighing up to 80 tons. Quarrying, transporting across the Nile, and lifting these stones into place with such breathtaking accuracy represents a logistical puzzle that has never been satisfactorily solved. The accepted narrative of ramps and copper tools begins to strain under the weight of the evidence. The pyramid's intended purpose as a pharaoh's tomb is widely accepted, yet its architectural genius seems to far exceed any mere funerary function. It stands as a permanent question mark, a structure that embodies knowledge we struggle to attribute to its era. This level of engineering prowess sets an impossibly high bar, compelling us to look at other, less famous monuments and ask if they too were built with a wisdom we have since forgotten. But even the Great Pyramid is not alone in its mystery. Far to the north, on the windswept Salisbury Plain in England, stands a monument of a different kind, yet one that echoes the same profound questions. Stonehenge, this iconic ring of standing stones, was raised beginning around 5,000 years ago. Its largest sarsen stones tower over 20 feet high and weigh an astonishing 25 tons each. The true marvel, however, is their journey. These colossal slabs were dragged from quarries over 20 miles away. Picture the immense effort, the coordination required to move these monoliths across rivers and rolling hills without the wheel or domesticated animals suited for such heavy labor. This was not a haphazard project, it was a triumph of logistics and communal will, demonstrating a level of social organization we rarely grant to prehistoric Europe. Unlike the pyramids, Stonehenge is a testament to celestial knowledge. Its central axis is perfectly aligned with the rising sun at the summer solstice and the setting sun at the winter solstice. On those specific days, the sunlight pierces through the monument's heart in a display that feels both calculated and sacred. Was it a temple for seasonal rituals, a celestial calendar for an agrarian society, or perhaps an ancient observatory for tracking the cosmos? The purpose is still fiercely debated, lost to the silence of millennia. Stonehenge forces us to abandon any notion of simple, isolated tribes. Its construction spanned centuries, a multi-generational project that required a shared vision and a sophisticated understanding of the world, both earthly and celestial. It stands as a powerful reminder that the drive to understand the heavens and to build in harmony with them was a global phenomenon, appearing in cultures that supposedly had no contact with one another. This pattern of deep, shared knowledge only becomes more pronounced as we journey to the high Andes. Far out in the vast emptiness of the Pacific Ocean, Easter Island stands as a monument to human ambition pushed to its very limits. Here, the Rapa Nui people carved and erected the Moai, nearly 900 colossal stone figures that stand watch over their island home. Their blank, stern faces gaze inland, as if guarding secrets their creators took with them. These are not small idols. They average 13 feet in height and weigh up to 14 tons, with some unfinished giants left in the quarry weighing closer to 80 tons. The sheer scale of the work is staggering, but the true, enduring mystery is how they moved. The island is a rugged landscape, and these multi-ton statues were transported miles from the central quarry to coastal platforms called ahu. Without wheels, without large animals to pull them, how was this feat accomplished? Theories abound, from the practical idea of rocking the statues side to side in a walking motion, to the more traditional concept of sliding them on log rollers. Yet each theory presents its own set of problems on this remote and resource-scarce island. The purpose of the Moai is equally compelling. Were they sacred representations of powerful ancestors, their backs to the sea to watch over and protect the living, or were they symbols of authority and status for competing island clans? Their creation and transport would have required a highly organized society, one capable of marshalling immense labor and resources. This makes the eventual ecological decline of the island all the more poignant, a stark reminder of the delicate balance between human ambition and the environment. The isolation of Easter Island, over 1,000 miles from the nearest inhabited land, makes its achievements utterly profound. It forces us to discard any notion that complex society required external influence or trade with mainland centers. This was a civilization that dreamed on a grand scale, entirely on its own, proving that the drive to create monumental art and meaning is a fundamental human impulse, one that can flourish even in the most remote corners of the earth. This idea of building in profound harmony with the world, rather than simply imposing upon it, finds its ultimate expression in a city woven directly into the clouds. High in the Andes, where the air grows thin and clouds cling to mountain peaks, sits a city of stone that seems to have grown from the rock itself. Machu Picchu, the lost city of the Inca, was built in the 15th century, a masterpiece of engineering perched on a narrow ridge between towering summits. Its construction defies the extreme environment, with terraces carved into near vertical slopes and buildings assembled from stone blocks cut with such precision that a knife blade cannot slip between them. This dry stone construction, using no mortar at all, is the secret to its longevity. The perfectly fitted stones can shift and settle during the frequent earthquakes that ripple through the mountains, then lock back into place once the trembling stops, a brilliant solution to a constant threat. This was not a fortress imposed upon the landscape, but a work of architecture in deep conversation with it. The entire site is a celestial map, with key structures aligned to the solstices and other astronomical events, showing the Incas' profound connection to the cosmos. Was this a royal retreat for an emperor, a sacred sanctuary for priestesses, or perhaps a living observatory to track the heavens? Its true purpose remains an alluring mystery, a testament to a culture that achieved a breathtaking harmony between human ambition and the natural world. This seamless blending of art, science, and the environment marks a pinnacle of ancient thought, proving that monumental achievement is not always about dominating nature, but about learning to build in concert with its immense power. Such a delicate balance between artistry and function finds a stunning parallel in a very different kind of ancient wonder, one carved not from mountain stone but from sheer human ingenuity. Yet even a city woven into the clouds is a structure we can touch and walk within. What happens when the monument itself is the landscape, a canvas so vast it can only be comprehended from the heavens? Etched into the arid plains of southern Peru, the Nazca lines present a mystery of an entirely different scale. These are not structures built upward, but art carved into the skin of the earth itself. Hundreds of enormous geoglyphs stretch across the desert floor, depicting a hummingbird with wings outstretched, a spider with perfectly proportioned legs, a monkey with a coiled tail, and vast geometric shapes that run for miles in razor-straight lines. Created by the Nazca culture over a 1,000-year period, these designs were not built up but carefully scraped away. The artists removed the dark, sun-baked stones that littered the surface to reveal the lighter, sandy soil beneath, creating a stunning visual contrast. The true marvel and the core of the enigma is that these intricate figures are essentially invisible from the ground. You could walk right across the body of the condor and see nothing but a path of scattered pebbles. Their full, majestic form is only revealed from high above. So why would a people without any means of flight create such monumental art that they themselves could never truly see? The purpose is one of history's great puzzles. Were these giant drawings an astronomical calendar, their shapes aligning with celestial bodies to mark the seasons for planting and harvest? Or were they ritual pathways walked by priests during sacred ceremonies to communicate with gods they believed resided in the sky? Perhaps they were offerings to deities who could see them from above. The precision involved is breathtaking. How did the Nazca achieve such perfect proportions and straight lines over miles of rugged terrain without the aid of modern surveying equipment? They must have possessed a sophisticated understanding of geometry and an ingenious method of scaling up small models into giant desert masterpieces. This was not random scratching, it was a deliberate, calculated, and communal act that transformed the entire pampa into a sacred space. The Nazca lines challenge our very definition of a monument. They were not built for human occupation or even for human viewing in the conventional sense. They represent a profound, almost incomprehensible act of faith and knowledge, a message to the heavens written in the earth whose meaning has been erased by the desert winds. This leap from the physical to the mystical leads us directly to a monument so shrouded in legend that its very name is a whisper of a lost world. The Great Sphinx of Giza is far more than a guardian statue. It is a geological puzzle carved directly from the living rock of the plateau. Towering before the pyramids, this colossal figure with the body of a lion and the head of a human has been traditionally attributed to the Pharaoh Khafre, dating it to around 2,500 years before the Common Era. But look closely at its weathered body, and you will see a mystery etched into the very stone. The erosion patterns on the Sphinx and the walls of the enclosure surrounding it are not the sharp, wind-sculpted grooves you would expect from a desert environment. Instead, they are deep, rolling, and undulating, characteristic of water erosion, the kind caused by heavy, sustained rainfall. This type of weather last occurred in Egypt not 4,500 years ago, but more like 8 or even 10,000 years in the past during a much wetter climatic period. So who could have carved it? This single observation challenges the entire conventional timeline, suggesting the Sphinx may be a relic of a pre-pharaonic era, a monument from a time of forgotten cultures whose history has been completely erased. The debate over its true age is one of the most heated in all of archaeology. If the water erosion theory is correct, then the Sphinx predates not only the dynastic Egyptians, but also the very development of agriculture in the region. This forces an uncomfortable question: what advanced society existed then, capable of such a monumental feat of engineering and artistry? The mysteries do not stop with its age. The original purpose of the Sphinx is equally clouded. Was it a divine representation of the pharaoh, merging his wisdom with the lion's power? Was it a focal point for solar worship, aligned with the rising sun? Or was it truly a guardian, its gaze fixed eternally eastward to protect the sacred necropolis from malevolent forces? Even the identity of the face, often said to be Khufu's, is not a certainty, having been recarved and weathered over the millennia. The Sphinx sits silently, its secrets locked within limestone that has witnessed ages we can scarcely comprehend. It stands as a direct challenge to our linear history, a sentinel that may guard not just tombs, but the truth of a lost chapter in the human story. This profound mystery of a single, enigmatic structure naturally leads us to wonder about entire cities and how ancient people organized their world on a grand scale, a question perfectly answered by our next destination. Across the ocean, another city of gods rises from a valley floor, its origins even more mysterious than its ruins. Teotihuacán, the place where men became gods, was already an ancient, abandoned wonder when the Aztecs discovered it centuries after its fall. They gave it its name and believed it to be the birthplace of the cosmos itself. Yet, we still do not know who actually built it. This metropolis was one of the largest in the entire ancient world, a thriving center for over 100,000 people at its peak, and its architects remain anonymous. The entire city is a masterpiece of intention, laid out on a grid with an axis so precise it seems to defy randomness. This central artery, called the Avenue of the Dead by the awestruck Aztecs, runs for miles, flanked by monumental platforms and temples, all leading the eye toward two colossal peaks. The Pyramid of the Sun dominates the landscape, a mountain of earth and stone rising over 200 feet high. Its volume is staggering, constructed from millions of adobe bricks. What is truly remarkable is its alignment. The pyramid is oriented to mark a key astronomical date, the day the sun passes directly overhead, a fact its builders calculated with stunning accuracy. Further along the avenue, the smaller but perfectly proportioned Pyramid of the Moon creates a harmonious balance, its summit offering a breathtaking view of the grand geometric plan below. And then there is the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, a structure whose facade is not merely decorated but alive. It is carved with undulating stone serpents, their bodies adorned with the feathers of the Quetzal bird, a symbol of divine power and authority. But Teotihuacán was more than a ceremonial center. It was a functioning, advanced city. Its residents did not live in simple huts, but in sprawling, multi-family apartment compounds, complete with courtyards and intricate plumbing. The city had a complex drainage system to manage water, a sign of a society thinking generations ahead. This level of urban sophistication, with its standardized housing and civic planning, feels almost modern. How did a culture whose name and language are lost to us achieve such a harmonious and efficient design? Teotihuacán stands as a powerful challenge to the idea that complex societies require a single, known founder or a well-documented history. It proves that monumental achievement can arise from a collective, anonymous genius, a civilization that mastered its world and then vanished, leaving only a perfectly aligned, silent city as its legacy. This profound sense of a lost identity, a people whose name is forgotten but whose works endure, finds a powerful echo in a place where myth and megalithic stone are inextricably fused. The stonework at Pumapunku does not simply defy its era, it mocks it. Nestled within the larger Tiwanaku complex in the high plains of Bolivia, this is not a structure of rough, stacked rocks. It is a collection of architectural components, a box of stone puzzle pieces scattered by time. These blocks, dating to around 500 or 600 years after the Common Era, are carved from andesite, a volcanic stone as hard as granite. Working such material requires diamond-tipped tools in our modern era, yet here we see surfaces polished to a mirror finish, edges cut with a geometric precision so sharp they seem machined. The most bewildering feature is the complex interlocking joinery. Each stone is carved with a series of precise tabs and notches, allowing them to fit together without a single drop of mortar, locking into place with the seamless perfection of a master craftsman's inlay work. How was this achieved? The stones show evidence of perfectly straight grooves and clean, cylindrical holes drilled into the unyielding rock, as if by a powerful, steady press. The logistical chain is staggering to consider, quarrying this immensely hard stone, transporting it for miles, and then shaping it with a level of accuracy that would be challenging even with 21st century technology. What tools could have accomplished this? We are left with a profound disconnect between the assumed capabilities of a pre-Columbian culture and the physical evidence laid out before us. Was Pumapunku a temple complex, a grand civic center, or perhaps something else entirely, its true function lost when the site was abandoned? The sheer technical proficiency on display suggests a society that had mastered stone in a way that feels alien to our understanding of the ancient world. This was not mere construction, it was a form of high engineering, pushing us to radically reconsider the technological landscape of the Americas. From this puzzle of perfect geometry, we now turn to a monument carved not for function, but for the soul, a place where the very rock seems to breathe with spiritual devotion. Angkor Wat rises from the Cambodian jungle like a stone mountain built for the gods. This sprawling complex is the largest religious monument on Earth, a breathtaking fusion of spiritual vision and architectural might. Originally constructed in the early 12th century as a Hindu temple, it was later transformed into a Buddhist site, its sacred purpose evolving across centuries. The entire design is a microcosm of the Hindu universe, a physical representation of Mount Meru, the legendary home of the gods. Its iconic central towers symbolize the mountain's peaks, while the surrounding moat represents the cosmic ocean. But this is not a simple symbolic gesture, it is a staggering feat of engineering. Millions of sandstone blocks were quarried from a site over 25 miles away and transported along canals, all without the use of wheels, which were substituted with river barges and immense human labor. Each block was then smoothed and fitted with such precision that many joints are virtually seamless. The walls themselves are a library in stone, covered in thousands of square feet of intricate bas-reliefs. These carvings depict epic tales from mythology, vast armies on the march, and countless celestial beings known as apsaras. The sheer artistic labor involved is almost incomprehensible. Yet the genius of Angkor Wat extends beyond the earthly plane. The entire temple is a precise astronomical instrument. During the equinoxes, the sun rises directly over the central tower, a perfect alignment that required an advanced understanding of celestial cycles. This was more than a temple, it was a bridge between the human world and the cosmos. The resources and social organization required for such a project challenge our perception of the Khmer Empire. This was not just a kingdom with a powerful king. It was a society capable of mobilizing and sustaining an army of artisans, laborers, and engineers for decades. Angkor Wat stands as a testament to a civilization whose spiritual ambition and technical prowess were truly cosmic in scale. Such celestial precision was not unique to Southeast Asia, however, as another ancient culture carved its astronomical knowledge directly into the desert floor of the Americas. Dominating the dense jungles of the Yucatan Peninsula, The Mayan city of Chichen Itza stands as a testament to a civilization that saw time itself as a sacred, measurable force. Its heart is the great stepped pyramid known as El Castillo, a structure built around 1,000 years ago that is far more than a temple. It is a colossal stone calendar. The pyramid's 4 stairways each have 91 steps, which, added to the shared platform at the top, equals 365, the exact number of days in a solar year. But the true magic reveals itself during the spring and autumn equinoxes. As the sun sets on these 2 precise days, the play of light and shadow against the northwestern balustrade creates a stunning illusion, a slithering, undulating serpent of shadow that appears to descend the pyramid steps to join its stone head at the base. This was no accident of design. It was a calculated, dramatic demonstration of the Mayas' profound connection to the cosmos, a way of embedding their celestial knowledge directly into their most sacred architecture. This astronomical genius is echoed in the city's unique observatory, a round tower with windows precisely aligned to track the movements of Venus, a planet of immense importance to the Maya. They charted its cycles with an accuracy that would not be rivaled in Europe for centuries. The very existence of such a specialized building speaks to a society that invested immense intellectual capital in understanding the heavens. Yet, for all its grandeur, Chichen Itza was eventually abandoned, its bustling plazas and ball courts reclaimed by the jungle. The reasons for its decline remain a subject of intense debate, pointing to possible drought, internal conflict, or shifting trade routes. This great city, therefore, represents a dual mystery, not just how they achieved such intellectual and architectural heights, but also why, after such achievement, they ultimately walked away. It reminds us that these were not mythical beings, but real people who solved complex problems with a brilliance that still commands our respect. From this city of celestial calendars, we now journey to a site where the monument is not a building, but the entire landscape itself, carved with a purpose that remains just out of reach. The desert city of Petra appears not as a construction, but as a revelation, its magnificent buildings carved directly into the vibrant red sandstone cliffs of Jordan. This was the capital of the Nabatean kingdom, a civilization that mastered the art of survival in one of the world's most unforgiving environments. Their greatest architectural wonder, Al-Kosneh, or the Treasury, is a facade of breathtaking elegance, its columns and statues chiseled with a fusion of local tradition and Hellenistic artistry that speaks of a culture connected to a wider world. But the true genius of Petra lies not just in what is visible, but in what is hidden. In a land where water was more precious than gold, the Nabateans engineered a marvel of hydrology. They constructed an intricate network of dams, cisterns, and channels that captured every drop of seasonal rainfall, taming flash floods and directing water throughout the city. This sophisticated system allowed Petra to flourish as a bustling hub of trade, a crossroads where caravans carrying incense, silk, and spices converged. The wealth that flowed through its narrow canyon, known as the Sick, funded the creation of this rock-cut metropolis. Yet, for all its grandeur, Petra's story is fragmentary. Why was this powerful city gradually abandoned, its secrets swallowed by the desert sands? Its eventual decline remains one of history's quietest mysteries, challenging our perception of what a desert civilization can achieve through sheer ingenuity and adaptation. From this city carved by water and trade, we cross to a monument raised by a different kind of power, one that harnessed the might of an empire to build for eternity. Deep within the green hills of Ireland, a massive, rounded mound has guarded its secret for over 5,000 years. Newgrange is a prehistoric passage tomb constructed around 3,200 years before the Common Era, a date that makes it older than both Stonehenge and the Great Pyramids of Egypt. From the outside, it appears as a great grass-covered hill, but this is an illusion of nature, a cloak over an architectural marvel. The entire structure is encircled by a curb of massive stones, many of them intricately carved with spirals, diamonds, and concentric circles, symbols whose meanings are lost to time but whose power is undiminished. The facade itself was once a brilliant, gleaming white, made from quartzite rock that was carefully gathered and placed, a stunning visual statement against the green landscape. The true genius of Newgrange, however, is not in its art but in its alignment with the cosmos. Above the entrance, a small, carefully engineered opening known as a roof box exists. For most of the year, this slot remains dark and unremarkable, but for a few precious minutes at dawn on the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, a narrow beam of sunlight pierces through this roof box. It travels down a long, narrow passageway, over 60 feet into the heart of the mound, until it finally illuminates the central burial chamber in a dramatic burst of golden light. This was not a happy accident. It required generations of precise astronomical observation and meticulous engineering to achieve. How did a society of Stone Age farmers, without written language or metal tools, possess such a sophisticated understanding of the solar cycle? Was this immense project merely a tomb for the elite, or was it something more, a place of profound spiritual rebirth where the symbolic victory of light over darkness was reenacted each year? The effort to build it was staggering, requiring the movement of 200,000 tons of stone and earth, all organized by a communal will that saw this celestial connection as paramount. Newgrange stands as a powerful testament to the scientific and spiritual achievements of early European societies, proving that the drive to understand and commemorate the cosmos is a fundamental thread in the human story. This pattern of immense, inexplicable stonework only grows more profound as we encounter a site where the blocks are so massive they seem to be the work of giants. But even the most sophisticated stonework pales before the sheer, incomprehensible mass of the blocks at Baalbek. In the Bekaa Valley of Lebanon stand the ruins of a Roman temple complex, magnificent in their own right, but they are merely the most recent layer of a much deeper mystery. The true enigma lies in the foundation, a series of stone blocks so vast they defy all logic. Known as the trilithon, this is a wall composed of 3 stones, each one estimated to weigh over 800 tons. To put that into perspective, that is the weight of 2 fully loaded jumbo jets for a single block of stone. And these are not rough boulders, they are perfectly cut and shaped monoliths, fitted together with a precision that would be a monumental challenge even with today's most powerful cranes and transport vehicles. The Romans are credited with building the temples above, but the origin of this megalithic platform is far less certain. How were these stones quarried from a site nearly a mile away? How were they transported across uneven terrain and then lifted into place, positioned so perfectly that a credit card cannot be slipped between them? The conventional explanation of ropes, ramps, and pulleys strains to its breaking point under such a colossal weight. This has led to persistent speculation that the Romans built their complex upon a pre-existing and far older foundation, constructed by a civilization whose identity and capabilities are completely lost to history. Baalbek stands as a permanent question mark, a site that challenges not just our understanding of Roman engineering, but the very timeline of human achievement. It forces us to ask if we are seeing the work of a known historical power, or merely the final users of a platform built by masters of stone whose name we will never know. This profound mystery of immense, anonymous construction finds a strange and beautiful echo in a monument that is not built from stone at all. but from faith and devotion carved directly into a mountainside. Buried deep beneath a Chinese farmer's field lies an army frozen in time, waiting for a command that will never come. This is the Terracotta Army, a silent legion of thousands guarding the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of a unified China. Created around 210 years before the Common Era, this was not a symbolic gesture. It was a full-scale military deployment for the afterlife. Each soldier is a life-sized masterpiece, standing over 6 feet tall and weighing several hundred pounds. But the true wonder is that no two faces are alike. You can walk among their ranks and see young recruits with determined stares, seasoned veterans with weathered brows, and officers with an air of calm authority. Their hairstyles are intricately detailed, their armor is rendered with meticulous care, down to the rivets and leather straps, and even the soles of their shoes show patterns designed for traction. This was an assembly line of individuality, a feat of artistry and organization that staggers the mind. How did ancient artisans produce such a vast army of unique individuals? They likely used a system of modular parts, mixing and matching different heads, torsos, and limbs. But the final touches, the subtle expressions that give each soldier his soul, were all hand-carved. This suggests a workshop of unparalleled scale and sophistication, a factory for immortality funded by the absolute power of an emperor. The purpose was clear: to protect the emperor in the next world just as his real army had in this one. Yet the sheer ambition of the project forces us to reconsider the technological and bureaucratic capabilities of ancient China. The logistics of creating, firing, and burying over 8,000 figures, along with hundreds of chariots and horses, without a single written record of its construction, is a historical silence that speaks volumes. And the greatest secret remains untouched: the emperor's main tomb mound, which historical accounts describe as a miniature universe with rivers of mercury and a star-filled ceiling, lies undisturbed and unexcavated, a final, tantalizing enigma. This clay army stands as a powerful testament to one man's ego and a civilization's astonishing ability to bring his vision to life. Such a display of centralized power and artistic genius makes us wonder what other forms of ancient knowledge were being shared and perfected across the globe. Across the lush landscapes of ancient Mesoamerica, the Olmec people left behind a legacy of stone that is both massive and deeply personal. These are the colossal Olmec heads, 17 known sculptures carved from single blocks of basalt, each one a portrait of an individual frozen in time. Created over a 1,000-year period, these heads stand up to 11 feet tall and weigh an astonishing 20 to 40 tons each. Their faces are not generic masks, but possess unique, expressive features, from broad noses and full lips to determined jaws, many crowned with what looks like protective, helmet-like headgear. They are not gods or monsters, but seem to be powerful individuals, perhaps revered rulers or legendary ball players, their identities now a silent mystery. The sheer physical challenge of their creation is the first layer of the enigma. The basalt used for these monoliths was quarried from the Tuxtla Mountains, a journey of over 60 miles through swamps and dense jungle to their final homes at sites like San Lorenzo and La Venta. How did a culture without the wheel, without draft animals, move a 40-ton block of stone across such a formidable distance? The most plausible theory suggests they used a combination of log rollers and rafts, navigating river systems during the wet season, an undertaking requiring the coordinated labor of hundreds, if not thousands, of people for a single head. This speaks to a highly organized society capable of mobilizing immense communal effort, but the mystery deepens beyond logistics. The sculpting itself reveals a mastery of three-dimensional form. Using harder stones and perhaps water abrasion techniques, Olmec artisans transformed unyielding volcanic rock into faces with a tangible presence, carefully detailing the subtle curves of a cheek or the specific set of a mouth. This demonstrates an artistic and technical sophistication that archaeologists once believed emerged much later in the Americas. The Olmec heads are not isolated wonders, they are the foundational stones of an entire cultural tradition. Their iconography, from the jaguar imagery sometimes associated with them to the very concept of monumental portraiture for the elite, would echo for centuries, influencing every major civilization that followed, from the Maya to the Aztecs. These silent sentinels mark the dawn of complex society in the region, forcing us to acknowledge that the roots of Mesoamerican genius run far deeper and are far more complex than we ever knew. This concept of planned, sophisticated urban life in the ancient Americas finds its ultimate expression in a city that was, for its time, one of the largest in the world. While the colossal heads of the Olmecs attest to the artistic heights of early Mesoamerica, an entirely different form of monumental ambition was rising far to the north. In the fertile floodplains of the Mississippi River, across from what is now St. Louis, stood the great city of Cahokia. At its peak around the year 1100, this was the largest pre-Columbian settlement north of Mexico, a bustling metropolis that was home to as many as 20,000 people. Its skyline was not defined by stone pyramids, but by a breathtaking feat of earthwork engineering. Monk's Mound, the city's colossal centerpiece, is a massive, flat-topped earthen pyramid covering over 14 acres and rising 100 feet high. To construct it, workers moved an estimated 22 million cubic feet of soil in carefully layered baskets, a communal effort spanning generations. This was not a burial mound, but a towering platform for the city's most important structures, a physical manifestation of power and authority overlooking a vast central plaza. But Cahokia was more than just one giant mound. The landscape was dotted with over 120 smaller mounds, serving as platforms for elite homes, religious buildings, and burial sites, creating a complex hierarchical cityscape. The society that built this was remarkably sophisticated. They constructed a vast, open plaza at the city's heart, a space for grand public gatherings, markets, and rituals. They also built a series of large, circular formations from massive, upright wooden posts, now called woodhenge. These circles functioned as solar calendars, with key posts aligning with the sunrise at the solstices and equinoxes, proving that the Cahokians, like their contemporaries across the ocean, were keen astronomers who structured their lives and ceremonies around the cosmos. This was a hub of far-reaching trade networks, with goods like copper from the Great Lakes, shells from the Gulf of Mexico, and mica from the Appalachians flowing into the city. And then, for reasons we still struggle to comprehend, this great city was completely abandoned by the 1300s, centuries before European contact. What happened? Was it environmental degradation from such a dense population, a prolonged drought that crippled their agriculture, or social and political collapse from within? The silent mounds offer no easy answers. The story of Cahokia completely upends the outdated notion of simple, nomadic tribes in ancient North America. It reveals a vibrant, complex, and innovative civilization that rivaled any in the world at its time, a testament to the incredible diversity of human achievement on this continent. This mystery of a society that flourished and then vanished into the earth leads us next to a place where myth and stone are so intertwined, they have become one. The sheer number of stones is overwhelming. In a quiet corner of Brittany, France, more than 3,000 prehistoric monoliths stand in eerie, orderly rows, stretching for miles across the landscape. These are the Karnak stones, erected over a 1,000-year period beginning around 4,500 years before the Common Era. This is not a single monument, but a vast, planned composition of megalithic alignments, a project of staggering scale that required a communal vision spanning countless generations. The stones themselves vary in size, from smaller menhirs to towering giants, all arranged with a clear, deliberate intent. But what was that intent? Walking among these silent sentinels today, their purpose feels just out of reach. Were they a colossal astronomical computer, their rows aligned to solstice sunrises or lunar extremes, allowing Neolithic priests to track the passage of time and seasons with stone precision? Perhaps they formed a sacred processional route, a pathway for rituals connecting the world of the living to the realm of the spirits. Another theory posits they were territorial markers, a permanent and undeniable statement of a clan's control over the land, written not in words but in granite. The true answer is lost, buried with the people who invested so much of their lives in this endeavor. The coordination required is a mystery in itself. How did these early farming communities, with no central authority we can identify, agree on such a grand design? They had to quarry these massive stones, transport them across the countryside, and erect them with a consistency of alignment that speaks to a shared, sophisticated knowledge. The Karnak stones challenge the very notion of simple, isolated Neolithic villages in prehistoric Europe. They point instead to a complex society capable of long-term planning and breathtaking communal effort, all for a purpose we can no longer decipher. This profound human impulse to arrange the world in patterns that reflect our beliefs, whether for the heavens or for the land, finds its next expression in a monument that is not a collection of stones, but a single, breathtaking act of spiritual devotion carved into a mountain. Emerging from the dense Guatemalan rainforest canopy, the stone temples of Tikal are like mountains built by human hands. This was not just a city, it was a sprawling metropolis of the Maya world, a powerhouse of culture and intellect that thrived for centuries. At its heart stand the Grand Pyramids, with Temple Roman IV soaring to over 200 feet, making it one of the tallest pre-Columbian structures in the Americas. To stand at its summit is to look out over a sea of green, a testament to the ambition of a people who carved a civilization from the jungle itself. The city's layout reveals a master plan, with wide plazas, royal palaces, and ball courts connected by raised causeways that kept the city accessible even during torrential rains. But perhaps the most ingenious aspect of Tikal was its relationship with water. In a landscape defined by seasonal downpours and dry periods, the Maya engineered a sophisticated system of reservoirs to capture and store rainwater, ensuring a stable supply for tens of thousands of residents. This was a society that did not simply conquer its environment, it adapted to it with brilliant, sustainable engineering. The stone stelae and altars scattered throughout the city are pages from a history book, carved with hieroglyphic texts that record the deeds of kings, the dates of battles, and their precise observations of Venus and other celestial bodies. They were meticulous historians and astronomers, and then, around the 9th century, this great city fell silent. The monuments stopped being erected, the grand palaces were abandoned, and the jungle began its slow reclamation. What caused such a vibrant and advanced society to collapse? Was it prolonged drought that overwhelmed their water systems, overpopulation that strained resources, or internal warfare that fractured their political structure? The decline of Tikal challenges any simple story of human progress, reminding us that civilizations are not inevitabilities, but delicate achievements that can falter. Its silent ruins stand as a powerful monument to both human brilliance and fragility, a testament to a culture that reached for the sky from the heart of the rainforest. This story of a great city interacting with its world finds a fascinating parallel in a trading hub that connected vastly different cultures. Perched high on the Acropolis, the Parthenon is more than a beautiful ruin, it is a symphony in marble. Constructed in the 5th century before the Common Era as a temple for the goddess Athena, this structure represents the absolute peak of classical Greek ambition. Its flawless proportions and elegant columns have become the very definition of classical architecture, but its true genius lies in a secret, a series of deliberate imperfections engineered for visual perfection. Look closely and you will see that nothing is completely straight. The platform curves slightly upward in the center, and the columns themselves bulge almost imperceptibly, a feature known as intosses. These are not construction errors, they are brilliant optical corrections. The architects understood that perfectly straight lines would appear to sag to the human eye from a distance, so they introduced these subtle curves to create the illusion of perfect straightness and harmony. This required a breathtakingly sophisticated grasp of mathematics and human perception, a fusion of science and art that feels almost modern. Every surface was once alive with meaning. The sculpted pediments depicted the birth of Athena and her contest with Poseidon, while the continuous frieze around the inner chamber showed a grand procession of citizens, a powerful statement of civic pride and religious devotion intertwined. The Parthenon was not just a house for a deity, it was a declaration of Athenian identity, a physical manifestation of reason, order, and beauty. Yet for all its intellectual grandeur, the methods used to construct it remain partially shrouded in mystery. How did they achieve such precision in their marble carving, or transport and lift the massive architrave blocks into place with such exactitude? It stands as a permanent challenge, forcing us to appreciate that the foundations of Western culture were laid not just by philosophers and playwrights, but by engineers and artisans whose intuitive understanding of their world still inspires awe. This seamless blend of structural genius and deeper, almost esoteric knowledge finds a startling parallel in a monument designed not for the living, but to capture the very essence of cosmic power. Descend deep beneath the sun-baked island of Malta, and you will find a world of the dead carved from solid stone. The Hypogeum of Ħal Saflieni is not a structure built upward, but a sacred labyrinth meticulously hollowed out downward over centuries, a subterranean temple complex created between 4,000 and 2,500 years before the Common Era. This is a necropolis on 3 distinct levels, a profound architectural feat achieved with nothing more than stone, antler, and obsidian tools. The chambers are not crude caves, they are rooms with carved ceilings that mimic the corbelled arches of above-ground temples, a deliberate act of bringing the familiar architecture of the living into the realm of the ancestors. The walls are adorned with spirals and osher patterns, symbols whose precise meanings are lost but whose spiritual power is palpable. Yet the most haunting mystery of the Hypogeum is not just in its art but in its sound. One specific chamber, known as the Oracle Room, possesses a remarkable acoustic property. A deep voice spoken into a small niche in the wall resonates throughout the entire chamber, the sound vibrating through the very stone with an otherworldly power that can be felt in your bones. This was no accident, this was engineered. Did the priests of this forgotten culture use this amplification to project a voice of the divine, making the very earth itself speak to the gathered mourners or initiates during funeral rites? This sophisticated manipulation of sound, combined with the sheer ambition of the excavation, forces us to radically reconsider these Neolithic islanders. They were not simple farmers, but master excavators, architects, and acoustic engineers with a complex spiritual worldview. The Hypogeum stands as a breathtakingly preserved window into Neolithic funerary practices, challenging all assumptions about the sophistication of early Mediterranean societies. and reminding us that some of humanity's greatest monuments were not built to reach for the heavens, but to honor the world below. This profound connection between human ingenuity and the spiritual realm finds a dramatic counterpoint in a monument that represents the ultimate mastery of the physical world, a city built upon the sea itself. Beneath the clear, blue waters off Japan's Yonaguni Island lies a formation that blurs the line between nature and human artistry. Discovered in the 1980s, the Yonaguni Monument is a massive sandstone structure resting on the seafloor, its sharp angles and flat surfaces appearing almost architectural. We see what look like vast terraces descending in steps, sharp corners meeting at perfect 90-degree angles, and narrow channels that could be interpreted as roads or waterways. There are even two prominent pillars that seem placed to support the ceiling of an immense open hall. The entire structure is colossal, stretching over 150 feet in length and rising nearly 80 feet from the seabed. The central question is as profound as the ocean that conceals it. Is this a miraculously eroded natural rock formation, or is it the sunken remnant of a city built over 10,000 years ago when sea levels were dramatically lower and this area was dry land? Geologists point to the region's strong currents and the natural fracturing patterns of sandstone, which can indeed produce surprisingly geometric shapes. Yet, other researchers argue that the sheer concentration of right angles, parallel surfaces, and symmetrical staircases in one location defies simple geological explanation. If even a part of this site is artificial, its implications are staggering. A civilization capable of such stonework 10 millennia ago would completely rewrite the history of human advancement in East Asia, pointing to a sophisticated, seafaring culture whose entire world was eventually swallowed by the rising seas. This underwater enigma forces us to look at our planet's changing coastlines with new eyes, wondering what other chapters of the human story are now submerged, waiting to be rediscovered. From this sunken mystery in the Pacific, we journey to a mountaintop in South America, where an ancient people carved their understanding of the cosmos directly into the living rock. High on a barren Peruvian hilltop, 13 stone towers stand in a silent, precise line. This is Chanquillo, the oldest known solar observatory in the Americas, built over 2,300 years ago by a culture whose name has been lost to time. These are not random ruins, they form a man-made horizon, a colossal stone calendar etched against the sky. From a specific vantage point to the west, an observer could watch the sunrise march steadily along the crest of this line throughout the year. In the June solstice, the sun would rise at the tower on the far right. By the December solstice, it would appear at the tower on the far left, tracing the sun's entire annual journey across these 13 points. This was not a vague approximation, it was a precise instrument for measuring time, accurate to within a day or two. The implications are profound. This pre-Inca society possessed a sophisticated, scientific understanding of the solar cycle, allowing them to mark seasons, organize agriculture, and schedule rituals with an astronomer's precision. The very existence of Chanquillo dismantles a long-held Eurocentric bias, proving that such complex astronomical science was not the exclusive domain of the ancient Egyptians, Greeks, or Babylonians. It emerged independently here in the Americas, a testament to the universal human drive to decode the cosmos. This pattern of indigenous genius, of cultures building profound knowledge from their own unique relationship with the world, finds a powerful echo in a magnificent city that once dominated the heart of ancient Africa. Rising from the savanna of southern Africa, the stone ruins of Great Zimbabwe stand as a powerful testament to a kingdom long overlooked by history. This was no outpost of a foreign empire, but the thriving capital of a sophisticated African civilization, flourishing between the 11th and 15th centuries. Its most striking feature is the Great Enclosure, a vast structure defined by walls that curve and soar, built entirely without mortar. The stonemasons of this kingdom mastered a technique known as dry stone walling, carefully selecting and shaping granite blocks to fit together with such precision that the walls have endured for centuries. The scale is immense, with some walls rising over 30 feet high and 16 feet thick, a project requiring immense labor and a highly organized society capable of marshalling skilled artisans and workers. This was the heart of a vast political and economic network, a hub of trade that connected the African interior to the Swahili coast. From here, gold, ivory, and other goods flowed out to the wider world, bringing immense wealth and influence. The very existence of Great Zimbabwe directly challenges colonial-era myths that denied the capacity for indigenous African civilizations to create such complex, monumental architecture. This was an autonomous, innovative center of power, a kingdom that developed its own unique architectural style and social structures entirely independently. Its eventual decline, likely linked to shifting trade routes or environmental factors, adds a final layer of mystery to this stone city. Great Zimbabwe forces a vital expansion of our historical map, reminding us that grand achievements and enigmatic declines were not exclusive to Europe or Asia. This celebration of diverse and independent genius leads us next across the ocean, to a place where ancient artistry was not expressed in towering walls, but in the creation of an entire island world. Far out in the Pacific, a city of stone floats upon a lagoon. Nan Madol rises from the water off the coast of Pohnpei, a labyrinth of over 100 artificial islands constructed from colossal basalt logs. These are not rough boulders, but prismatic columns of volcanic rock, stacked like timber to form massive walls and foundations. The entire complex is a network of canals and islets, earning it the name the Venice of the Pacific. This was the ceremonial heart of the Sordilor dynasty, a place of immense spiritual and political power that thrived from the 12th to the 16th centuries. The scale is staggering, but the true, enduring mystery is the sheer weight of the materials. The basalt logs, or megatons, were quarried from the other side of the island. Some of these stones weigh up to 50 tons. How were they transported across the jungle and then over the reef to their final destination in the lagoon? The local oral history speaks of magic, of powerful spirits flying the stones through the air. A more practical, yet still monumental, theory suggests they were floated on bamboo rafts through the island's waterways. This would have been a logistical nightmare, requiring the coordinated effort of thousands for generations, all to build a city atop a coral reef. Nan Madol forces us to shatter our assumptions about Pacific Island societies. This was not a simple culture of fishermen and farmers, but a highly stratified and organized civilization capable of one of the most unique and ambitious engineering projects in the ancient world. Its isolation makes its achievement all the more profound, a testament to the fact that human genius can flourish in the most remote corners of our planet. This city on the water challenges us to broaden our geographic perspective, to look beyond the familiar continents for the footprints of lost civilizations. Such a place where myth and megalithic stone are so deeply intertwined finds a powerful echo in our next destination, a monument that is itself a legend carved from a single mountain. The quarries of Aswan hold a monument to failure that is more revealing than many successes. Lying in a bed of red granite, the unfinished obelisk is a behemoth frozen in time, abandoned over 3,500 years ago when a catastrophic crack tore through its length. Had it been completed, this single piece of stone would have stood over 100 feet tall and weighed more than 1,000 tons, dwarfing every other obelisk ever raised. It is a snapshot of a process interrupted, offering an unparalleled look at the methods ancient Egyptians used to tame granite. Surrounding the massive form, you can still see the trenches carved by workers who painstakingly hammered at the rock with balls of dolerite, a stone even harder than granite. Teams of laborers would have pounded away for months, creating a channel just wide enough to work in, slowly freeing the obelisk from the living bedrock. The scale of the endeavor is almost beyond comprehension, a project that required not just brute force, but a deep understanding of stone and fracture lines. And that is precisely why it was abandoned. The builders' worst fear materialized, a flaw in the stone that rendered their Herculean effort worthless. This single failed project speaks volumes about the immense risks and challenges of ancient engineering. It forces us to ask what tools and what reservoir of knowledge they possessed to even attempt such a feat, let alone succeed so many other times. This incredible evidence of hands-on work and colossal ambition shows a civilization pushing the very limits of the possible. As we move forward, we will see how this drive for monumental creation was not isolated, but part of a vast, interconnected world of trade and shared ideas that spanned continents. Mohenjo-Daro was a city of startling modernity, a marvel of the Indus Valley that thrived over 4,000 years ago. Its streets were not winding, organic pathways, but a meticulously planned grid, with main avenues intersecting smaller lanes in a pattern of perfect order. Each house, built from standardized, kiln-fired bricks of uniform size, connected to an advanced city-wide drainage system. This was not a privilege for the elite, but a standard feature for urban living, with covered gutters running alongside streets and into larger sewers, ensuring a level of public sanitation that would not be seen again in many parts of the world for thousands of years. The city boasted a massive public bath, the Great Bath, a watertight pool that likely served a central role in the community's ritual and social life. Yet for all its evident sophistication, this great metropolis is utterly silent. We have no grand palaces, no monumental statues of kings, no temples filled with gold. The power structure that orchestrated this urban masterpiece remains a mystery, its leadership hidden from view. Most tantalizing of all, the civilization's written script, found on thousands of small seals, remains completely undeciphered. We can see their achievements in brick and stone, but we cannot hear their words or understand their thoughts. Why did such a well-organized and successful city eventually fall into decline? Was it a shift in the river that sustained it, a change in trade patterns, or a more gradual environmental shift? We simply do not know. Mohenjo-Daro stands as a powerful challenge to the idea that urban progress must follow a single, predictable path, proving that a sophisticated, peaceful, and staggeringly practical civilization could flourish in South Asia, its secrets locked away in a language we have yet to understand. This profound sense of a lost, peaceful order leads us to a place where architecture and spirituality achieved a perfect, breathtaking balance. Borobudur does not simply rest on the earth, it unfolds from it. This colossal structure in Indonesia is the single largest Buddhist temple in the world, a 9-tiered mountain of stone built in the 9th century. From a distance, it appears as a vast, stepped pyramid, but this is an illusion of scale. As you draw closer, the monument reveals itself as a 3-dimensional cosmic map, a physical representation of the Buddhist universe designed for a spiritual journey. Pilgrims do not merely walk around it, they ascend through it, moving from the base representing the world of desire, up through the world of form, and finally to the formless world of enlightenment at the summit. This entire path is a gallery in stone, lined with over 2,600 intricately carved relief panels. These are not simple decorations, they are a visual scripture telling the life of the Buddha and illustrating the principles of karma in breathtaking detail. The sheer volume of narrative art is unparalleled, a library of faith carved into volcanic rock. Accompanying this journey are 500 serene Buddha statues, each seated within its own perforated stupa, gazing out over the lush Javanese landscape. The architectural genius of Borobudur lies in its silent engineering. The entire monument is constructed from interlocking blocks of stone, fitted together without a single drop of mortar. This technique, requiring absolute precision in the cutting and placement of each block, has allowed the structure to withstand centuries of tropical rains and even major earthquakes. Planning involved must have been staggering, a multi-generational project that demanded not just devout labor, but master architects who could translate a profound spiritual vision into a stable, physical form. Yet, for reasons still not fully understood, this magnificent center of pilgrimage and learning was abandoned around the 11th century, slowly buried by volcanic ash and reclaimed by the jungle. Its rediscovery in the 19th century was like finding a lost world, a civilization of immense spiritual and artistic sophistication that had been completely erased from local memory. Borobudur challenges the narrative that Southeast Asian history was merely a reflection of Indian or Chinese influence, revealing instead a powerful, indigenous kingdom capable of architectural and philosophical achievements on a world-class scale. This grand synthesis of art, engineering, and cosmology represents a pinnacle of ancient thought, yet it still operates within a spiritual framework. Our final monument, however, represents a leap into pure science, a device so advanced it feels like an artifact from another time entirely. The final object on our list is not a monument in stone, but a masterpiece of bronze, a device of such complexity it seems to have fallen through a crack in time. Recovered from an ancient shipwreck off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera, this corroded lump of gears sat in a museum for decades before anyone realized its true significance. Now known as the Antikythera Mechanism, it dates to around 100 years before the Common Era, a product of the ancient Greek world. For centuries, we believed the first complex geared devices emerged in the 14th century with the invention of mechanical clocks in Europe. This artifact shatters that timeline. X-ray analysis has revealed it to be an intricate astronomical calculator, a system of at least 30 interlocking bronze gears housed in a wooden case operated by a hand crank. It was not a simple tool, it was a portable cosmos. By turning the handle, the user could predict the positions of the sun, the moon, and the known planets against the backdrop of the zodiac. It could forecast lunar and solar eclipses, and may have even calculated the dates of major athletic games like the Olympics. This was, in essence, the world's first known analog computer, a mechanical representation of the heavens that modeled celestial physics with breathtaking accuracy. The sheer miniaturization of this knowledge is staggering. Who built such a device? Was it the workshop of the legendary Archimedes, whose lost writings hinted at such mechanisms? Or was it a product of the scholarly circles on the island of Rhodes? We do not know. The Antikythera Mechanism forces a humbling admission that an entire lineage of advanced mechanical engineering existed in the classical world, a technological tradition that was almost entirely lost to history, perhaps surviving only in fragmented texts and this single, salvaged relic. It stands as the ultimate proof that our timeline of progress is not a simple, upward curve. History is not a neat story of continuous advancement, but a tapestry full of holes with peaks of genius that are forgotten, only to be rediscovered centuries or even millennia later. As we reflect on these 29 enigmatic sites, from Göbekli Tepe to this intricate computer, a common thread emerges. Across continents and millennia, separated by oceans and languages, humanity displayed a shared, profound drive to understand the cosmos and to encode that understanding in lasting form. Whether carved into a desert, raised from stone, or forged in bronze, these monuments are more than just ruins. They are messages from our collective past, challenging us to remember that the human mind has always been capable of extraordinary things, and that the full story of our journey is still being uncovered, one astonishing discovery at a time. These recurring patterns across continents and millennia are simply too profound to ignore. In every corner of the globe, from the high Andes to the English plains, ancient builders demonstrated a shared obsession with the heavens. This was not a coincidence. It was a fundamental human impulse to track time, to mark the seasons, and to seek our place in the cosmos. They encoded this celestial knowledge into stone with a geometric precision that still baffles engineers today, achieving feats we struggle to replicate even with our modern tools. And they did so with an artistic flourish, covering their work in intricate carvings that speak a symbolic language we are still learning to decipher. This powerful triad of astronomy, engineering, and artistry forms the common heartbeat of these enigmatic sites. Yet, for all these shared themes, the cultural expressions are wonderfully diverse. The Maya built towering pyramids as calendars, while the people of Karnak arranged thousands of stones in mysterious rows. The Nabateans carved a city from desert cliffs, and the Rapa Nui raised monolithic giants on a remote island. This beautiful variation proves there was no single blueprint handed down from a master civilization. Instead, it reveals a tapestry of independent genius, with different cultures finding their own unique ways to answer the same eternal questions about life, death, and the universe. This is what makes the mystery so compelling. We are not looking for one lost secret, but for countless sparks of innovation that lit up the ancient world. These monuments collectively challenge the very notion of a straight, upward line of human progress. Our traditional timeline, which moves neatly from hunter-gatherers to farmers to city builders, is fractured by a temple complex like Göbekli Tepe, which appears to reverse that order entirely. It suggests that our history is not a simple story of accumulation, but a complex web of peaks and valleys, of advanced knowledge achieved, lost, and sometimes rediscovered centuries later. The Antikythera Mechanism is the ultimate symbol of this, a device of such sophistication that it feels utterly out of place in its time, a stark reminder that the past is full of surprises. This realization is not an end point, but a new beginning. It invites us to look at the archaeological record with fresh eyes and open minds, to question long-held assumptions, and to embrace the thrilling possibility that the next great discovery could once again rewrite everything we thought we knew. The enduring public fascination with these places is a testament to their power. They are not just relics, but active invitations to wonder, to explore, and to remember that the human story is far grander and more mysterious than we ever imagined. These 29 monuments form a chorus of questions echoing across the millennia. They are not random anomalies, but a consistent pattern of brilliance that our standard historical narrative struggles to contain. From the ancient circles of Göbekli Tepe to the intricate bronze gears of the Antikythera Mechanism, each site is a profound invitation to reconsider the entire story of human advancement. They tell us that our past is not a simple, linear path from primitive to advanced, but a rich and complex tapestry woven with threads of knowledge we are only now beginning to see. These stones and mechanisms are far more than silent relics. They are vibrant testaments to the incredible ingenuity, deep spirituality, and the unquenchable human quest to understand our place in the cosmos. They prove that the drive to build, to calculate, and to create meaning is a fundamental part of who we are. As we finish this journey, it is vital to remember that history is not a closed book, but a living narrative, constantly being reshaped and rewritten with every new discovery made in a desert, a jungle, or even at the bottom of the sea. The greatest mystery may still lie buried, waiting for its moment to once again challenge everything we think we know. We would love to hear which of these enigmatic sites captured your imagination the most, so please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this exploration into the wonders that redefine our past, be sure to subscribe for more journeys into the mysteries of history. Thank you for joining us.